Bum-ba-da-dum. Howdy, welcome to BanjoBenClark.com. I'm Banjo Ben, your host here on the site that teaches you how to play banjo and mandolin. This week is Guitar Week, and I've had this one requested several times over the last few years, and then just a couple times recently, and I thought, I love this song, and it would make a great build-a-break lesson. So I love these build-a-break lessons because we're going to start with a very stripped-down melody, and then we're going to build upon that, adding licks and showing you how to build a solo in the process. This one's also really fun because the rhythm is moving along really fast, but the solo isn't moving that fast. There's a lot of half notes, a lot of quarter notes, so it gives you an opportunity, especially if you're first getting into flat picking, to be able to play with an up-to-speed song but not have to do really, really difficult stuff. And then we'll move on to that intermediate solo, and you can begin to bring in more licks. If you're watching here on the website at BanjoBenClark.com, just scroll down for the rest of the lesson videos, as well as all the MP3 jam tracks and tabs. If you're watching somewhere else, I'd love to have you on board as a Gold Pick member. Let's get going. Oftentimes when this song is played, the solo is just taken over the verse, but the song also has a chorus, and we're going to learn to solo over the chorus too, because that's done fairly often too. It just depends on the arrangement that you're listening to, and maybe you're working up with your band. We're going to do it in the key of A. I think in a lot of the hymnals it's in B flat, so A is pretty close to that. And we're going to use a capo, and we want to put the capo up on the second fret. Be sure and get it right on top or right behind that second fret wire. Make sure all the notes are clear. And then we're going to play out of a G position. So whenever we play a G chord, but we're capoed up 2 frets, which is a whole step, we're actually playing an A chord. Okay? But for guitar players, we're going to talk just in what's called capo language, or that's what I call it. So this, even though it's technically an A chord, we're going to call it a G because that's the shape we're making. The only other shapes that we have for this particular arrangement are a C chord, a D chord, and then we're going to choose to throw in an A7. So here's an A chord, and then if I lift my middle finger, it's an A7. We're going to do that in the chorus just one time, and that's totally up to us to add that chord. And if we want, there are many arrangements that don't have that A chord, and some that do, and some that do it more than once. We're just going to do it once. We don't want to wear it out, but it sure sounds good to hear that in that chorus. Okay, let's take a look at the tab. We're in 4/4 time. That means that there's 4 beats in each measure. You'll notice that I have the lyrics down below the notes for this version. When we get into the intermediate version, we will not. But what I want you to keep in mind when we move to the intermediate version is that the melody's the same, the chords are the same, so you're going to be able to substitute in and out the measures for the intermediate version. So maybe you learn this basic version and it becomes quite easy for you. To spice that up a little bit, you can look over at the intermediate version and say, hey, what's going on in measure 5? What might I be able to do? And you can see that you can play a lick. Okay, so that's what makes these build-a-break lessons very, very fun. Now, we've got it boiled down to the very basic melody, as you can see here. And when we look at how the song starts, it comes in on beat 3. So if we were going to count this song off, we might say something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And come in on the Ive on the beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when we get to that next measure, home, pre, we've got 2 half notes. So those are going to take up the full measure. They're 2 beats apiece. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another half note for paired. 1, 2, and then back to quarter notes. Where the saints abide just. So this is really cool. Whenever I performed it, we performed it at 220 beats per minute. That's fast, isn't it? And the rhythm is trucking along. But the solo is not going that fast because the melody is quite slow, even spread over that quick rhythm. So it gives it this really cool energy that we're going really fast, but we're not having to work that hard. As we go into the next line, we got some quarter notes. Change chords there, or at least the accompaniment is going to change chords behind us. But it's very, very important that we count right here. Look at this note land. It's a whole note. It's going to last for all 4 beats of that measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to carry over into the last measure on that line through the first 2 beats of that measure. So really, this note's going to get 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll come back in. And this is, of course, going to be a great time when we move to our intermediate solo to throw in some licks. Whenever we have those melody notes that hang out for a long time, that gives us a lot of freedom, a lot of room to play some pretty cool licks. We'll get into that. And then we're going to have some repeating as we move into measure 11. we've seen all this before. And then we'll wrap up the verse. On that last land there, measure 17, that's another really long note, right? It lasts a full measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll go into the chorus, just, oh. And what I've noticed in various versions is that they start this pickup to the chorus, that word just, on various notes. Sometimes I hear it start on the root, on that A note, just, oh. Sometimes, like in a lot of the old hymnals, it starts on this open D string, just, oh. And then sometimes they start on the high D note, an octave above that, and it sounds like it, just, oh. Maybe that's the version you're used to hearing. Just, oh. Well, if that's the case, that's okay. You can get it on that third fret right there instead of the open D string. Same note, just an octave apart, just, oh. So as we get into the chorus, we can play it on the fourth fret there, or we could just play the open B string, which we'll do. Another big long note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very simple, and I want you to keep all of these down strokes, if you don't mind. You see those little arrows beneath the notes. I want to work on that because we'll bring in some upstrokes in the intermediate solo. Next line, another big long note for join. Join the happy angel band. Just measure 27. And then here, measure 28 is where we encounter that A7 chord in the rhythm. But if you'll notice, there's nothing really special that we do for the melody. That's what makes it sound good, is that the melody's not doing really anything special. It's not doing anything outside of the major scale. It's just playing basic melody while the accompaniment is playing a chord that's not typically heard in that in the tonic chords for this key. And then another big long note, and then we just got some repeating. Measure 31, we're hanging out again. Over in the glory land, therewith host all stands. Over in the glory land. Okay, so now what I think we need to do to make sure we have this under our fingers is to play through this basic melody slowly together. You want to try to do that? And don't forget, I've got the different speeds of MP3 jam tracks down below, so you can stream those. You can download them and change the tempo to whatever you want as well. So let's play through this basic melody from start to finish. Then we'll jump into the intermediate version. If you're watching somewhere else besides the website, BanjoBenClark.com, come over and join as a Go Peak member. I have tons of these build-a-break lessons that teach you how to build a break. That's where we're going next, and that's where it gets really, really fun.